Well, I'm Danny Oakley. I'm from Mineral Wells, Texas. I served on the USS ORLECK in the 60s, in 1960 and 66, I mean, and through part of 67. I was a ship store operator.
Tell me a little bit about what did you have in the ship store here?
Oh, we had cigarettes, cases of them. I have to go down and keep them down here in the compartment area, the storage compartment. We had watches, we had candy, we had potato chips and stuff like that.
How often was the store open?
I opened it when the ship would first pull out port. After we got out, you had to go out 3 miles, and then it was tax-free. Everything was tax-free after 3 miles out. So I would have the ship store loaded down, and there'd be a line out on the main deck waiting to get cigarettes and just get everything, and it was all tax-free once we passed that 3-mile marker. And I mostly, it was open like in the afternoons, around noon or right after lunch, 2 or 3 hours a day.
Where did you sleep on the ship?
Oh, I slept right down there on the right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And they had just installed air conditioners. These ships didn't have air conditioning. The first ship I was on didn't have air conditioning at all. We went to Vietnam and we used to sleep out on the main flight deck, and anywhere it was cool. So, but they started putting air conditioners, and the Orlek here was one of the very first ships that had the air conditioner system put in it. So that was a blessing. But
now you said something about the barber shop. What did you do there?
I worked a little in the barber shop. I'd cut the crew's hair and the officers, and back then the flat tops were the main rage. A lot of officers wanted flat tops, and if you're at rough seas, it was kind of hard to give a flat top, but we did it. But
well, let's go to the barber shop.
Then it seemed like I did have a sink here. I think there was a sink right in here.
You can see the connections there.
Yeah, you can see the connections. Mm-hmm. So we had to cut 350 men haircuts. So if we was at sea for 50 days or 40 days, and they would a lot of times wait till just before we got into port, and they all wanted haircuts because they wouldn't let them off the ship unless they looked good. So we'd work late sometimes giving them haircuts.
So how did you learn to cut hair?
Just from practical experience, and watching the other barber and working with him and him helping me out. So that's basically how I learned to cut hair. I wasn't really intending to cut hair, but he'd get strapped by himself, and so I'd help him. So, and that was our rate. It was the ship store, the barber shop, and the laundry. And the laundry, we liked really the best because we made all kinds of money in it. Doing guys' uniforms, pressing them, and I run the press, and I did the officers. You do the officers' uniforms and you press them, but the crew, they just had to wear regular work type jeans and cotton shirts back then, and some of them would come up and but their dress uniforms had to be pressed. And when you're at sea a long period of time, it's hard to keep your uniform good, and they wouldn't let you off the ship on Liberty without a good-looking uniform. So, they'd come up and we'd work sometimes a day or two while we was in port, just getting guys' uniforms done up to help them out and plus make a little extra money. So this is how they would fire the guns. They would sometimes they might pause for a minute or 2 or 3 minutes, or they might say rapid fire, and would fire 20 rounds out of each gun per minute. And if you made any kind of mistake in the gun mount, they would kick you out of the gun mount, and you never was allowed to go back in there. And how I got in the gun mount, I was down in what they call the merry-go-round, which is down underneath the gun mount, where the ammunition's kept. And we would hand carry it in there and put it in this merry-go-round. And then we'd have to take it out and put it in the elevators to go up into the gun. And when we did, one time, this friend of mine was from Texas, from San Antonio, named Jackie Thrasher. I'll never forget his name. Jackie was a good guy, but he made a mistake. A bad mistake. What had happened, they had rammed the powder and the projectile up into the gun and was fixing to fire from here, but it was paused. And they were in rapid fire, but they paused it for probably to get on the right reading. And he dropped a live round, a brass round this tall, it weighs 36 pounds, behind the breech. If it would have fired, the breech would have come open, and that hot shell would have come back and hit that powder and blowed up the whole mount, killed everybody in there. So they hollered for me to come up there to take Jackie's place, and I did. And it was just, you just couldn't make no mistakes, especially when you got 12 men in a little small area like the gun crew is, and you're firing 2 big guns at rapid fire. It was very challenging.